immediately. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Santita Jackson Show here on AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. Yeah, I'm coming at you a little late, but I'm here. I'm here. I didn't even have internet service most of the day. I'm so glad we were able to figure it out. And let's talk about what's happening with this government shutdown. We are going into, uh, week 4. Some people think that it might even go past Thanksgiving. This is the first week coming into November 1st that a lot of our workers on the civilian and military side will not get paid, or they certainly will not get paid enough. I saw a story on CNN this morning, and watching these blocks long lines of people was heartbreaking, just heartbreaking. What is going to happen on November 1st when 25 states at least are going to shut off their food aid programs? We have to think about what that's going to look like for all of us on the ground, because guess what? Think about it. Who is going to watch their child starve? That's not going to happen. And it's going to be turned into the Hunger Games out here for us. When there is more than enough food and more than enough money in the world for everybody to be able to be fed, clothed, housed, that can happen. I mean, now this administration is undercutting our beef production. The cattle ranchers are furious because we're importing beef from Argentina, and we're killing our beef program here in the United States. What is going on here? How are we coming up with 20 to 40 billion dollars for Argentina, and we can't come up with $1 million for a city or a town or a hamlet? How is it that we are not going to pay these people? These government workers did not want to be off of work. But I was watching Frank Lunt, who is a brilliant political uh, consultant and analyst. He's a tremendous political scientist. And he said, I've labored over this before I came on CNN today. And I just had to say, I've come to the conclusion that nobody's winning here. You know, Nobody's winning. Think about it. Because at the end of the day, people are not going to eat. At the end of the day, a lot of our healthcare premiums are going to become unaffordable. That's what's going to happen. At least 20 million people are not going to be able to purchase their health insurance. They're not. Even if you make low six figures, your health insurance is unaffordable. It just is. If you make, I think I was reading today, $130,000 a year, $22,000 is what you would have to pay for your health insurance. That's a lot of money, everybody. 130,000 might sound like a whole lot to you, but in the grand scheme of things, $130,000 was a lot 20 years ago. It's not that today. It's just not. So think about that. Think about what is happening, the real cost of this government shutdown over healthcare. At the end of the day, we really need a universal single payer system. Because if the Democrats are victorious, and I hope that they are, as a stopgap measure, we now need to have a real discussion about a universal single payer system. You need to get these health insurance agencies out. The companies need to be out of business. Look at the VA, look at the UK, look at Canada, see what they do well and what they don't do well with their universal single payer systems. Fix their flaws and give us health care. We could have had it under Teddy Roosevelt. We could have had it under FDR. We could have had it under Truman. But you know what the rumor was? That Black people would get free stuff. We get free health care. Now it's the immigrants. When will you learn? You can't hurt somebody else without hurting yourself. By denying health care to somebody, eventually it comes around to you. So let's talk about this government shutdown and what it's going to cost everybody. We've got a tremendous panel here with us. Former Wisconsin State Representative and brilliant educator, Dr. Lakeisha Myers, and Illinois State Senator Lakeisha Collins. I got the two Lakeishas sitting there together. All right, now, love it. Okay. Dr. Alia Amar, brilliant, brilliant scientist, but she is an activist, and we thank God for her and her work in the community. Attorney Linda Bernard, she is a police commissioner in Detroit. And also first African American to get a master's in law from the UPenn School of Law. Won several cases before the Michigan State Supreme Court. She's absolutely brilliant. She's also kind of nuts, and you're going to see that in a few minutes. That's
Oh,
my sister, and
please.
I love. Oh yeah, I know what you're going to say, girl. You're going to do something that's going to be so crazy. And the reason Jade Ruby, the president of the League of Women Voters, a League of Women Voters here in Chicago, the reason she's here is because she's crazy too, but we love her, and we're going to work to get you all doing these debates again because that's what we need because we need some sanity. When I was a child growing up, when the League of Women Voters hosted the debates, they were fair. Now I don't even want to. Well, I really don't want to see them. I really don't. We need some sanity back here. So let me just start. Let me just start down here. Let me start with my elected official, Illinois State Senator Lakeisha Collins. What is going to happen? What is this government shutdown meaning? You're on the state level, but federal workers are all over the country. They're in all 50 states and territories, and there are 25 states at least that are going to cut down food, cut off food aid programs. What is that going to look like? What is this government shutdown looking like to you and your constituents?
Thank you for that, Miss Jackson, and hello, ladies on the call. It feels so good to be in community right now. I just left an event to rush here because I think this is a
Thank
really
you.
important discussion. So, as a former healthcare worker, I can tell you that um, don't nobody got time to be laid off right now. But unfortunately, with this administration who is heartless and is literally sucking every piece of resource out of working families, this creates a tremendous disaster for everybody. Federal workers who are essential, whether they're, and also contractors, the contractors will not get paid. They are not guaranteed back pay. But for the essential federal workers, you're thinking about the public safety people, you're thinking about the folks who are traffic controllers and things of that nature, TSA, they're going to be working with no pay. And mind you, they have families at home to take care of too. And because we don't know anybody's personal situation, you have no idea what that's going to do to their mental, the type of burden that they're going to be carrying on their shoulders, on top of all of the things that they're already probably dealing with. But usually when there's a federal shutdown, those people are guaranteed to get retroactive pay. With this federal administration, we have no idea if that's even going to happen. And so people are literally going to work without a guarantee that they're going to get any type of back pay, let alone being asked to still do their duties with no income. The holidays are coming up. And even when we look at the SNAP benefits, I gave a whole breakdown of this, of how it's a ripple down effect on my social media page. And we're talking about businesses who are going to be losing consumers, especially our smaller independent grocery stores. Like those people are going to be struggling, and it could cause that system to crash. We're talking about families who are going to be, looking at probably the holidays with no type of food on the table either. Our farmers, of course, you mentioned this earlier, that this administration is bailing out Argentina while also leaving the farmers here, leaving them left with nothing. And then they're also snatching up their land as well. So we're not even talking about that. And then on top of that, the state of Illinois, because of the big ugly bill, they are cutting 15% of what they usually would fund SNAP at 100%. They're putting that back on the states, which is an even bigger burden for us. And 15% may not sound like a lot for a lot of people, but it is, because when you break it down, that leaves us with a budget of having to fill with $800 million to cover people plus an addition, $700 million plus an additional million to just administer the program. And so now we're trying to scrap and figure out how are we going to do this in FY 27 to cover for 26. And so it's just putting a strain on a lot of us, and it's putting a strain on a lot of the local governments. Today, we had a call and we were just talking about, everything that's going on. And I mentioned, about SNAP benefits. I'm like, look, November 1st, people are going to be waking up with no funds on their cards. I fear for the families who rely on SNAP benefits. I fear for them because you think it's chaos happening right now. You can only imagine what's going to happen when people are hungry, they're starving. And I know that, I'm not going to go for long, but as a young person navigating through the child welfare system, being homeless, I can tell you it's not a game.
Which you have no, I mean,
I have that lived experience.
You're bringing that to this discussion. It's important for you to bring.
So I understand what that's like, and like I said before, people are already living in survival mode. And so it's this administration, Trump is creating chaos, and he's doing it intentionally. Mm-hmm. And for folks who voted for him, who thought that they weren't going to be affected by this, they're going to wake up on November 1st and feel it too. And so November 1st is due to the government shutdown if they don't open back up the government. But December 1st is where the damage is going to get done too. So think about that. The government is still shut down in November, and in December, we're running into 2 holidays here. So
you're running into rent,
holidays,
mortgages.
You're talking about mortgage, and even our federal workers, like the food lines are getting longer and longer. Right? And even with SNAP benefits being out there for people to be ready and available, you still had like the Food Depository and other organizations who was addressing food insecurity in communities. I know I work with organizations who do this all the time for our seniors who can't get out to the stores, who don't have access to good nutrition to put in their body. And so we're looking at this ripple down effect affecting every single individual who has food insecurity in their community, or who can't get to the grocery store, or who are living on a fixed income. And so this is bigger than what people think it is, and not enough people talking about it.
Well, Jane Ruby, the League of Women Voters, because we're coming into 2026. It's a year away. Help me to understand how we're supposed to navigate this, as we're going into this season. In Texas, you've got 900,000 unregistered Black and brown voters. You can, if you over-index in the vote, you can vote past this redistricting, but you got to get people registered to vote, and you got to inspire them and help them to understand what it is that's at stake here. Because you have Trump voters at Bernie Sanders rallies because they thought things were going to be different. So, on one level, I can't get, I'm not angry with them because they responded to this crisis in the best way that they thought that they could. I didn't agree with it, but it seems like there's something bigger at play here, Jane. Because it's almost as if we're watching these people collapse. The government's not collapsing, it's being collapsed. People are being unplugged. Jane, this is unsettling. Jane Ruby.
Yeah, I keep going back to that famous scene in The Simpsons where Lisa Simpson kind of screams, "The whole damn system is wrong." And it's like, I think that very much kind of epitomizes where we're at. I think that the whole pointing fingers of who's to blame, I think that this mess is very much, there's not one person to blame. It's the entire system. It's decades of, not prioritizing what's really important. The fact that there is so much wealth and abundance, and yet basic human needs are not met and taken care of before anything else. I've spoken before about, I'm all about the role of the individual. You can be who you want to be in the world, but there is a uniformity to everyone should be able to have their basic needs met. People should not go hungry. People should not be unhoused. People should not be struggling for childcare and all of these other issues. And, that's what's so frustrating about just, being a person in the world and, thinking about these things, is just that there's no reason for the way things are right now. You spoke about sort of the power of the vote, over time in history, that has been one way to sort of exercise systemic change, has been through the power of the vote. And I think, there are a lot of people who feel that, their vote doesn't matter, that are not tapped in and plugged in ways because, they're worried about feeding their family. They don't have enough gas money to get to their jobs. There are so many people where, voting is a luxury. And that's like really weird to say because that's sort of one of the most prideful things about being a citizen in our country, that, we all should be so proud of, the way we can exercise our vote. And the fact that has to come second and even bottom tier to the other needs that people need to take care of is really just unfair and deeply offensive, and is one of the reasons why, like, we're this fight affects everybody. The fight we are in right now does not discriminate. Doesn't matter whatever your issue that you are fighting for, we are all in this together.
Do you think people really understand that though, Jane?
I think people are struggling to take care of what they need to take care of. I think, the way I sort of look at it is, there is a role of citizen that really comes before the role of individual. But because our needs as citizens are not being met, that's where, we really run into this problem of, like, think of how different it could be if people were not worried about starving, were able to, have their kids in appropriate childcare or education systems that were well funded and safe. Imagine if if we weren't fearful of, lunatics with guns on the street. Imagine if we were able to provide universal health care for everybody. Imagine like the way that we would have much more time to be thoughtful and think about, what kind of government, what kind of world we really want if, we were able to meet those basic needs. And I think that the powers at play are really threatened by that concept. Like, it's really wild that anyone who dares, come forward and say, hey, what about universal health care? What about, free education? What about free college? Automatically they're called a socialist or a communist or too radical to participate in anything. And it's like, since when is taking care of each other a radical concept? I mean, unfortunately, history has shown that it is radical and it is threatening to the way things are. But I mean, we really need to kind of reclaim that these things are not radical. This is a matter of right and wrong.
What's radical is not feeding someone and thinking that we're going to survive that down here. Former Wisconsin State Representative Dr. Lakeisha Myers, what do you see? You're up in Milwaukee. And that is a place that that's really tough for Black people in particular. But we're beginning to see every place is tough everywhere for everybody.
Oh, absolutely. It's tough for everybody across the country. I think our governor issued a letter to the public talking about that we have 9 days left for any, for SNAP benefits before they run out. That also makes me think about other programs that fall under the auspices of the USDA. So when you think about our counties, I don't know how it is in Illinois, but a lot of times the counties are putting forth programs like Meals on Wheels, things like that for senior citizens. So those programs will also be shut down effectively if those funds, when they go away. When you think of it, depending on how long this goes, there are things in schools, as you know, I'm a practitioner, I work in a school. So when you talk about nutrition clubs or things like that, the kids have that are already indigent and they have to have, different meal supplements that are sometimes through grants or USDA grants that exist. Those students won't have those over those long holidays that the senator talked about. So when you think about Thanksgiving break, Christmas break,
So sometimes students get these meals so they can last, and make sure that they don't go hungry over the holiday breaks when they're not in school, because a lot of students have the opportunity to eat lunch at school and do those things. So a piece of that is also making me think about that in the back of my mind, like, okay, if this keeps going, okay, we're already at the longest shutdown, I believe it is, in history right now today. So it's not yet.
No,
Not
it's
yet.
almost 40 days, I think.
Almost 40 days. Okay, gotcha.
38 days or something like
Or
that.
something like that. I thought it was, I was like, somebody said, I was like, I thought it was a little bit longer, but
You
okay.
went over
No,
Thank you,
but
Linda.
we're on the countdown.
We're on the countdown to that, is what,
Yeah.
So if it goes longer than expected, but my point is, depending on how long it goes, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I think this is probably gonna be a record-breaking shutdown. I'm just gonna tell people that. I would think
Why do you
prepare for that?
why?
Because I think you see the administration that we have, and they're, what they're doing, and people are quite frankly pissed off at Democrats, because the last time they had this instance ago, and then Schumer was like, okay, well, we want to make sure the government opens back up. He got yelled at by his constituents and a whole lot of other people, because you have to draw a line in the sand somewhere, and healthcare is just that important. You opened this segment talking about that we have to come up with something new, that this is not working. So looking at a single payer system or some type of national health service system that exists that wouldn't, balloon people's healthcare costs in such a way is something that you have to think about. You also have to look at the fact that making sure that it's cost effective for folks to do this. Making sure that farmers, quite frankly, are upset. Yeah, you can possibly try to eke out a bailout for them, but it does nothing when, the bank comes calling and says, we want our money.
Wait, farmers are killing themselves. There's an epidemic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Farmers
And that's been a trend at least within the past 5 to 10 years, that you have the suicide rates among farmers anyway with that. So understand that people are not only just losing the ability to sell their crops, soybeans, all this other kind of stuff with the international market, but it's just like piling on. Everything is coming one after the other. So it's so many different things at play that all go into this with this shutdown. I think people are like, you have to do something. And if this is the only recourse that you have, people do remember. They do remember. And hopefully, like you said, Santita, this will spur people to register, to get folks registered, to actually vote, to understand the issues. I think it's like we always say, oh, it doesn't really matter to me until it hits my house. And if your house is a house that depends on SNAP benefits, it's about to hit your house, no matter who you voted for. And when you look at, a lot of times we see the face of people who get SNAP benefits or welfare benefits, all of that, it has always been looked at as, people are scamming the system. It's a lot of Black folks that do this and Hispanic families that do this. No, it's a whole lot of white people that get it too. And they're getting ready to get messed up too.
Well,
People think about Chicago, they think about big cities like Milwaukee and Chicago. No, it's a whole lot of people up north. Black folks are 6% of the population in Wisconsin. The rest of them are white people, mostly 90%. And a lot of them, we have 900,000 people that utilize SNAP benefits in our state. The overwhelming majority of them would be white constituents that utilize these programs. Same thing in Illinois, same thing wherever you look in the United States. The numbers just don't bear out any other way. So when you think about this, and versus the people who voted for a Donald Trump, many of them rural voters. So you said, I thought it would be different. The wake-up call is that it's not.
Well, and I think that when I look at who was at the inauguration, I think that they've had bigger plans, quite frankly, that even go beyond him.
Oh, absolutely. He is a figurehead of the imagination of the people who are giving him the ideas to do these things. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's the figurehead, period. If we don't understand who Peter Thiel,
absolutely.
If we don't understand
the Chris Rufos, the Peter Thiels, the Heritage Foundation, all those things,
you got to understand
entities and all of that. Who is Geppetto is the question.
The tech bros. You got to understand. You got to understand who these people are and what their agenda, what it is. I mean, anytime I've got Bill Gates dictating health, and no one asked about his credentials on science. That's not what he does.
RFK.
Well, no, RFK was known for as an environmental lawyer. someone who he had a great reputation until he went up against big pharma. He's one of the top environmental lawyers in the world. I mean, that's just those are the facts. He was lauded until he said, you know what? There's something. Can we not look at these medicines, not just vaccines, but all of them? Because if there's there's something, you ought to ask a question. Why is it since 1986 you've not been able to sue a company that makes vaccines? They're the only people who can't, because you can sue Tylenol, you can't sue them. Now, I gotta ask some questions about that. Something about that doesn't pass my sniff test. I don't care what the corporate media tells me about anybody. I don't want to hear it. I want to know what's in everything. Because you can OD on aspirin, everybody. We don't read the small print. But Dr. Amar, because now that I've got attorney Linda Bernard back, when she lifts up her head, I can speak to her. But let me go to you, Dr. Amar, because I have to tell you, to see these lines going down the blocks, everybody, with these folks who are hungry, and to see the pantries that are increasingly bare, and to see farmers who cannot get their produce to the street. Dr. Amar, what are we looking at?
So what we're looking at is engineered pain, and engineered pain for a purpose of deepening and furthering the division within our society. Dr. Myers is right. When you're placing people in situations where their basic needs are not being met, they often look for a scapegoat. And that scapegoat is often Black or brown. And so for those people who may not, as one cabinet member announced that he had in some text messages this week, have a Nazi streak. People get tribal when they are pushed into positions of survivalist need. And so, in my opinion, a lot of this is simply being manipulated in order to foment division and eventually to foment violence. Now, it sounds a little kooky, and I know that sometimes the things I say sound crazy. So, of course, I'm going to go to data, because data is one of my favorite things. We talk about the wealth of the United States of America, but one of the things that we don't talk about, one of the things that the United States doesn't do that other countries do, for instance, the GCC countries, the Gulf Consortium countries, they provide a basic living stipend to all of their citizens, and that's because they're pumping money out of the ground. Who else is pumping money out of the ground?
But wait. Now I want you to go back a second, because when they just discovered their wealth, they made a decision, right?
Well, they made a decision to privatize. They made a decision many, many years ago. I'm from one of those families where our land was taken by, I believe, Standard Oil. I don't know what the company was exactly. I'm going off a family legend, but our family's land was taken because oil was on the land. There are a lot of families that can tell that type of story. Our wealth as a nation is often privatized. And so a very small percentage of the people benefits from that. Whereas other countries provide universal health care, a basic living wage, access to college. Some countries, especially in the GCC, provide first homes, college tuition overseas. These are countries that are investing in their people and, frankly, making technological advances and building societies. 50 years ago, Dubai was a desert, and 85% illiteracy was within the region. And look at it today. But let me get back to these numbers because they fit. Since the tariffs have been introduced and the president has been bragging about them so much, I was a little bit curious about how much at least AI thinks has been collected so far. And that would be $215 billion. Wouldn't it be lovely to see some of that going towards SNAP benefits and paying the federal workers? But even if we didn't, last year, there were $318 billion in energy exports from the United States. And that includes 21.691 million barrels of petroleum that are pumped out of American soil every single day. We're oil rich, right? That doesn't count our tax money. That doesn't count solar and wind farms. That doesn't count all of these extra sources where the United States has great ability to actually make money. We make a ton of money. We have a ton of money. We also have mineral resources and other things that, are there. But that doesn't come into the budget when we're trying to manufacture pain. So when we're manufacturing pain, federal workers, 300,000 of them have been fired so far. Those are people standing in food lines who were working, who were full-time employed with what we used to call those good government jobs. 300,000 of them now have income insecurity, food insecurity. They're standing in line trying to get food. Meanwhile, we're building ballrooms, ripping down the East Wing, and paying ICE agents a $50,000 sign-on bonus. Okay? Let's go back to manufacturing pain for just a second. We have 99, almost 100, I'll put it at 100. $100 billion was in the fiscal year 2024 budget for SNAP. That is only 1.5% of all federal spending. To put that into context, because not everybody likes numbers that I do, if you had $100, if all you had to your name was $100, $1.50 goes to SNAP for feeding the country. That's what the 1.5% means. Out of $100, $1.50. So you got to ask yourself, right? Where's the other 98.5% going, right? There's a lot of spending that is not being directed towards what the average person needs. You have 20% of that SNAP budget, $186 billion, is going to be cut. And the expectation, that's based on the new bill, the expectation is that that's going to hit military families and federal workers even harder than they are currently being hit. But you know who else it hits? And you guys have mentioned this. It hits the farmers. It hits rural Americans. There were a lot of people that came out and voted last year. And a fascinating thing to me is that they voted for the pain of people in situations that don't impact them. You have people in rural, very central states who were voting, that you needed to get better control of the border. They don't even have anybody who's crossed the border coming into their states. You had people, for instance, who were complaining about, you had wealthy people who were complaining about entitlements so much that you had poor people receiving entitlements complaining about those entitlements. You have this disconnect between the vast amount of wealth that we have and the amount that is being misused in order to place us at each other's throats. That's what we're seeing. And I think that when I think about the potential that this brings for violence or for uprisings or things like that, it fits right into this over agenda that we've been seeing ever since January. An agenda that places Americans against Americans, places us in positions where, if you get hungry people out there who are protesting, hungry people aren't very good about controlling anger. They're hungry. So we're looking at a situation in which anger and divisiveness is being manufactured to pit us against one another in one of the richest countries in the world as the rich get richer off of our pain. That's my point.
Attorney Linda Bernard, what say you? And welcome to the show, Diane Gibson, down there in Texas.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, November 1st, I'm Catholic, is All Saints Day. It's a holy day of obligation all over the world. France, Spain, all of South America, all of Mexico, all of South America, Italy, everywhere in the world are Catholics. That happens to be my birthday. So therefore, it is a holy day. So that's the point. and I'm mandated as a Catholic to go to mass that day, as you know how it works, Santita, in any event. So I love November 1st. But back to the point about what we're talking about here. I was doing a little research while we were talking, and it's interesting that this is, I think, the 20th time that the government has been shut down. I have to go back to my notes.
Yes.
Yes. And the longest previous shutdown was, well, first everybody shut down the government. Clinton shut it down. Obama shut it down. Carter shut it down. People shut down the government whenever there is a dispute about what is going to be funded and what is not going to be funded. The longest shutdown prior to this one was actually with Donald Trump. But it was because of the fact, had we done what he asked us to do then, we wouldn't have the issue now. He shut the government down because he wanted the government to fund the wall, to stop the illegal immigration of people into the United States. Because we are a sovereign, I repeat, ladies, a sovereign nation. Just like our houses are our own houses. Can anybody come in without your permission? You can't walk into our country without the permission of the government. Nor can we walk into other people's countries and not be penalized or incarcerated. So this is international law. So he wanted the wall because the border is long and there's a river and there's this and that. And so it's hard to keep people out. They said no. So they shut the government down because they didn't want the wall. So, okay. So finally he agreed to open it back up after, I don't have my glasses on. I can't see here. It was about 30 some days, 30 some odd days.
About 35.
30, thank you, my sister.
Yeah.
35 days. So this is how Trump derangement syndrome works. So we didn't want to do that. So now we got this problem now. What worse yet, we also have the problem of 14, 15 million people in the country who, many of whom can't speak English, have zero allegiance to the United States of America, and only have an allegiance to their own food, their own medical, their own shelter, everything that we give for free. Excuse the expression. You don't like this expression, I'm sure, Santita, but I call it big pimping. America gets pimped all the time, as we both know. And therefore, now that pimping has been stopped.
Actually, I see
all over the world. I'm not just talking about with immigration.
No.
You can see it with the tariffs. We pay 50% in their country. They pay zero in ours. We are getting pimped.
The biggest pimping that we do is by using the dollar in a way that penalizes the world, which is why we're losing power. The fact is, we have had the blessing of being the reserve currency for the world. And because we've abused the blessing, we're about to lose the blessing. Being the reserve currency allows us to be in debt, free of charge. That is about to no longer be the case. We have sanctioned people instead of building things, we have burnt things down. Instead of building hospitals and becoming a place where people come and get well, we have burned people's hospitals. That's what's happened in Gaza. We've completely knocked it down. But that's not the first place we've done that to. We've done that in Vietnam. We've done it all over the world. And we're paying for this. And while I understand we are a sovereign nation, but the thing is, that is not America's oil underneath the feet of Venezuelans. The reason these Venezuelans are here is not because they want to be here. We've made life unlivable for them in their country. So let's just keep this 100. America is losing standing in the world because we're paying a price for our hubris.
I don't agree with you about that. I think there are a number of reasons for Venezuela's situation, including the fact that, like Mexico, their government is totally supported by the drug cartels.
No. One. First
on this issue of the shutdown.
Let me tell you something. No, wait a minute. You brought it up now, because you keep talking about drugs. The fact is, we have the appetite. So we got to deal with the fact that no.
Everybody has an appetite.
No.
That doesn't mean that you can eat sugar every day.
No one has the appetite for drugs.
Or that China lets people eat sugar every day.
No one has dropped more fentanyl. See, because these folks dropped crack in the Black community, and no one did anything about it. Well, now they dropped fentanyl in the white community, and now they have a drug addiction problem, and they ain't got no teeth. They're dying young. They're 30-year-olds who look like they're 80. So, wait, I want to talk about how it is, because I hear you always veer off to that before we get to Diane. Keep the issue where it is.
I want to.
But no, because you're up in Detroit and we're in different places. We got people who are lining up down the street, Linda. And as Dr. Amar said, we've got an engineered crisis. America's not collapsing, it's being collapsed. And we've got to ask why. To what end? Who benefits from the collapsing of the wealthiest country on earth? Who benefits from that? Who benefits? Because you have people saying that there are too many people on earth. And these are people who run things. They keep saying that the world is overpopulated. My pastor, Reverend Evans, may he rest in peace, said, I've never seen God make a mouth that God couldn't feed.
That's right.
My mother said,
That's
you know
right.
what? When we had the 5 of you, I couldn't afford you. We couldn't afford Jesse, Johnny, Yusuf, or Jack. She said, who am I supposed to put back? She said, we just got a chicken when we could, and we chopped it up. And maybe I'd chop it up and make a soup. But whatever it is, somehow or another, God bless us and y'all made it through. I want to talk about these folks who have nothing to eat and come next week.
I don't think that's true,
Santita. No, baby.
America is the most obese country in the world. That's number one. Number two, we're not going to let Americans go hungry. They're not going to look like kids in Gaza or Africa with swollen bellies.
Obesity and access to food are two totally separate things. If you have access to cheap junk food, right, you can be obese and malnourished at the same time. It's access to healthy food.
I understand that.
And it's
we're
the
not going to be dying from hunger on the street. We both know.
No
that.
one has
That's
died.
not happening in America.
Some people are going to die, and they're going to die
from
starvation.
We won't have swollen, disintended bellies.
No,
and we won't look like with arms as big as my fingers.
You're kind of comparing apples to oranges. That's not what we're talking about. But I would say you are, because this country, America, has always built on a lie. It's racist. It has exploited Black people. It has never been friendly to people.
It's still what we got. Okay? My kid may have polio, but it's still my kid. This is our country.
Ma'am,
our country.
We're not going to agree on this one. Yeah, it's our country, but this country has never loved on Black and brown people. Never. And it's throughout history that it's been that way. Okay?
So goes America, so goes
this
Black
country has went to other countries, suck them dry, their whole economy dry, and they're coming home to roost. And that's just the reality.
And
that is a fact. That's
Linda, wait, everybody, hush.
That's all we got.
Wait a minute, stop, hush. Now, there we go. This is our country. And because it's ours, we have the right to criticize it. As a matter of fact, we have an obligation to. Now, we might disagree with each other. We're not going to shout over each other. I keep telling everybody that who comes in to stop it. Stop it. And I want you to keep the issues where they are. You wouldn't have won these cases before the Michigan State Supreme Court by being all over the place. I don't want to hear about these people. See, this Chicago ICE raid took place 5 blocks from me. And now everybody, they're not in Lincoln Park. They're not in the wealthy part of Chicago. No. They're not even in working class white areas. They're over here with me, with Black and brown people and some affluent white folks in a neighborhood that's Black and white. Yeah. So stop. I want to know, what are we going to do about, because there are some people who go to bed hungry every night in America, right now. That's real. So I want to know, what are we going to do about it? Because there's some people who really do want to go to work. And you have a man who walked out on the stage with a chainsaw and said, I'm just going to cut these jobs, because he wants to replace it with a machine. I was trying to get my phone together all day. I could not get a human being to answer the phone. And they kept cutting me off because AI is replacing everything. And that is a shame. How are you going to have customers? And how are you gonna have a business that's run by a machine, but you want people to pay the bill?
Santita,
But
75%
nobody's
of
going.
the government is funded. It's just the discretionary. The 35%
No, no, no.
held up by Congress. It
The,
really is, Santita.
but
Like
the
Social
issue,
Security is going to be the same. Everything's going to be the same.
no, they're trying to collapse it because they want to privatize it, Linda.
They may want to, but I'm telling you,
No,
as we
no,
speak now,
they're on
everybody's going to get their Social Security
no,
check,
no,
their
no, no, no.
SSI, and their SSD check.
I'm telling you are. You know what? I hope you're right, but
Yes, yes.
the data shows that that's not going to be the case.
It's only
Now, hold on.
30% of the budget that's tied up in this shutdown.
No, no, no. But that's enough because you know what? I'm about to watch my premiums double on my health
What?
insurance.
I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
I'm about to watch my premiums double on my health insurance,
Okay, I hear you. Thank you.
which is a problem.
I agree.
It's a problem.
I
It's
agree.
and it's a problem for a whole lot of people.
I agree.
So Diane Gibson down there in Texas, and poor Jane, she's a little new here. She was here with us yesterday, but now she knows, and so does Senator Lakeisha. Y'all know that we're all family. We're just nuts, and we love Linda.
And I love everybody.
Oh, be quiet, Linda. Would you let somebody else speak? I'm about to push that button. Diane, what's you gonna make me pull my hair out? Diane Gibson down there. What's happening down there in Texas?
Well, the one thing that we're doing in Dallas, first of all, I just want to say thank you, Santina, and thank you for being among such powerful and passionate ladies all at the same time. I really consider that an honor. So thank you all so much. And it's an educational process for me. So I appreciate that. But here's what we're doing in Dallas. I just got off another conference call. That's why I was late getting this one. Is because what we're trying to do, especially now with the SNAP, the good thing is that we have plenty of food pantries here in the Dallas area, Dallas Fort Worth area. And so Minnie's Food Pantry ran by Cheryl Jackson. My church, Pastor Brian Carter, we have a nonprofit called Harmony Foundation, plus a number of other pastors, the Reverend S.M. Wright, St. Philip's has an excellent food pantry. But also, one of the things that we started doing in Dallas when Mayor Mac Rollins was the mayor, he gave out different funding to different HOA associations so that we could start gardening. We had community gardens. And so people continued to do that even after he term limit out of office. They still have those community gardens, which is much fresher food, more healthy food, better eating, because now what all the people do is they actually set that food out and you just come by and get it. You don't show anything, you don't get any identification, you just come and get it. So on a regular basis here in Dallas, between Monday and Saturday, you can go by a number of places here and collect food. And it's just not the regular canned goods and everything. I always tell my friend Cheryl Jackson, I said, look, I'm coming to Minnie's Food Pantry because they give out prime ribs over there. So I'm just going to dress up and go over there. But they give out meat and vegetables, fresh vegetables. And in addition to that, they also have fresh meat, bread, what have you. And then if you have pets, we also give out food for your dog and cat or whatever you may have. But we also have that available and it's also free. So we're trying to coordinate that. But in addition to that, there's a group here called Our Calling that has a mini directory book that gives you a copy of that to tell you where a lot of your social service agencies are. Because I'm a social worker by profession. And what happens is that the people that we call the habituals already know that during the end of the month and the first week of the month, that's when you call in to try to get your rent, your utilities paid, and what have you. I'm trying to make sure and using every avenue that I can on K104 and KRNB to let people know now that are facing this. If you have not gotten a check or income within the last 30 days, that's what they gauge whether you qualify on. Not what you did annually, but what did you get in the last 30 days and how many people in that household live off of that income. And that would qualify you for utility assistance, rental assistance, and also a house note payment. So those are the things that we're doing, and we're using the churches as we always do. That's the best pipeline you have. Social media is good, but it's nothing like making those announcements available through the churches and pulling together with Dr. Freddie Haynes and with pulling together with Pastor Carter and all of those pastors and letting them know that, look, there are resources out here, but we're so much better together. We just got to let people know. I always tell people, God always gonna tell us when we get to heaven, I gave you everything you need, but you sat there and didn't ask that lady who she was, and that was somebody that could help you. We got to get out of that little protected area we're so used to living in and start spreading abroad and find out the person that can help you right there. I live in a 22 house gated community. And so what we have is a collective group. We have a group text. And so anytime there's something available, like food available, rental assistant, job placement, all I do is put it in that group text. Why? Because now you can still say grace. I'm still helping my neighbors without even knowing who it is that I'm helping, because they get the information out of that group text. We're an old school neighborhood. And for the most part, 20 of us all look like me, but we all have each other's cell number. We have each other's keys to our houses. We are, when I tell you my neighborhood where I've been living for 21 years, we are so old school over here. And that's what we're going to have to get back to basics and doing
I
and
agree.
knowing, yeah, knowing what's going on with our neighbors. And I love the fact that our garage is on the front of the house. So that way we have to interact and see each other. When your garage is in the back of the house, you very seldom see your neighbors. But I know all of my neighbors by name, have all of their contact information, and it's 22 houses over here and only 2 houses that don't look like me.
But
And
Santita,
those,
this shows that Texas stepped up to the plate. They're proactive, and Texas is one of the richest states in the country. Illinois is probably number 4, number behind California and New York. I mean, it's absurd to think that people in America are actually going to go hungry. That makes no sense. We have too much. We throw away more food than we even eat. So
I didn't say some people don't go
I'm not
hungry.
saying
Oh,
they
okay.
may be inconvenienced by this. I'm not suggesting it isn't,
But
but
you
I'm
know,
just saying.
but you know what? I have to interrupt here because I have a father who stood on the food line.
Yes.
Yes, he did.
When no, wait, no,
And he created a
no,
food line.
no,
He
wait,
handed
stop,
out
no,
food.
no, stop. You see, this is personal for me
Yes.
because my father's scholarship money ran out, and he waited tables. He drove our pastor. He was the youth pastor at his church. See, people don't know him before he became this icon in
Right.
the store. My parents had no money.
Mhm.
Congressman Jonathan Jackson, my parents had no money. My brother was dying in the hospital. He had a viral pneumonia that was eating his lung. And at this hospital where he was the first black child born, at a Catholic hospital here in the city, they were going to put him out. They said, there's nothing else we can do. My father called Dr. King and he said, he was in tears. He said, my baby is going to die if they send him home, but they're about to do it. Dr. King said, just have them hold him overnight. I'll be there in the morning. He jumped on a plane and saved my brother's life. If we had universal single payer, that wouldn't have been a problem.
Right.
Yes.
My father had to stand in that food line. And he said, I'm not ashamed to do it because I'm going to feed my babies, because he did not have a father, a stepfather, a mother, a grandmother. My mother didn't have a daddy. He'd already left the country. My mama's father, my mother's stepfather and mama couldn't help them. They had no one they could turn to. So my father went and stood in a food line. So when I talk about people standing in a food line, when I see them, I see me.
Mhm.
When I got this wonderful award from these women of Detroit, these business women, I spoke before Isaiah Thomas, the NBA Hall of Famer. And I had to throw out my speech because we have a lot of ties. His father-in-law was the head of our Secret Service detail at our home. But I didn't meet Isaiah there. My father gives out food all through the holidays because he remembers as a child not having food. And Isaiah said, you know what? I have to thank you one more time because your father did something for me and my mother and my family that I'll never forget. I was standing in the line as my mother was waiting to go up to your father and get a couple of bags of food. He said, and I was embarrassed because everybody in the neighborhood would tease us because we needed to stand in line for food. My mama worked hard every day, but we didn't have any money, didn't have enough. He said, but when your father gave her the food, he looked at her and he spoke with her in such a way that gave her so much dignity. She didn't feel bad. And then he looked at me. Son, how you doing? He said, you don't know what that did for me that day. I'm saying, you know where you've been, you don't know where you're going. And you don't know everybody's story. There's a young woman on this panel who's been homeless. Everybody hasn't told everybody's story. I'm just giving you part of mine. I've had some days where I had to dump my piggy bank and get to the grocery store and figure it out as an adult. Because I decided not to go to medical school and I was going to be a singer. And my mother said, well, you're going to figure it out, dear. I'm not paying. Look, she didn't even pay for me to go to college. So that was all right. I figured it out. And I'm saying there's some people are hungry tonight. And that's a real thing. And it shouldn't be in America. But that's why Robert Kennedy going to Appalachia and standing with a hungry white child 60 years ago was a big deal. Because there are many hungry people in America, and there should not be. And for all of you in the chat line who think that I'm blaming Trump, I don't have any quarrel with Trump. I happen to know him personally, and he knows me by name. I never call him out. I never do that. I'm tired of that. Because we have two wings of the same bird that keeps flying us into a wall. We should have universal single payer. Nobody should go hungry. Everybody should be properly housed. No one should be cold in the winter. Everyone should be cool in the summertime. How about that?
Amen.
It could be you one day.
That's right.
Enough.
But
I
by
don't care
his
about
grace.
Schumer.
But by
I
his
don't care
grace.
about Hakeem. I don't care about Donald. I don't care about anybody. Because you know what? All of them have health care. All of them are going to be warm tonight. All of them are going to be cool when they need to be. But there are too many other people who are not going to be in that position. And you ought to be concerned about them, whether it's you or not. Grow up in your politics. Start caring about somebody. I'm a Christian. Jesus said, that what you've done unto the least of these, you've also done unto me. You don't have to be Christian to believe that. You ought to be sick of watching people get trampled over. You ought to be tired of it.
And he says, the poor will be with us always, but they don't have to be hungry.
They don't
But he
have to
also
be
said, yeah, even if you're witnessing to a person and if that person is hungry, God says, stop witnessing to him and give him some food.
Give them
You
some
can't
food.
tell him about Jesus and he's sitting there telling you he's hungry.
Well, shelter.
In our tradition, it said, whosoever eats his fill while his neighbor goes hungry is not from among us.
That's
You know
right.
what?
That's what you're saying, Santita,
And Alia,
is
it's
care.
all the same.
It's all the same.
It is.
But
You
I
just
think
have to
what
show
you're
people you
saying to
care.
people is stop feeling that it's okay for somebody to suffer. It's
That's
not
right.
okay for
It's not.
somebody to suffer.
I
If you
agree.
see somebody suffering, try to
Try
do
to do
something that alleviates that suffering. You know,
And
a
Tina, we got
million.
to go to these athletes too. Now, the one thing you can say, what we love our Dallas Cowboys, but when it comes to charitable giving, the Dallas Cowboys and the Mavericks, those are my favorite. They
They
give
do that.
unmerced. They really. But again, you can say what you want to, but a lot of them are just saying, "Ain't nobody asked me." And I know you're saying, "Well, that's just crazy." It may sound crazy to you, but they're saying, "Well, I don't know whether to go volunteer and just throw some money out." But I'm telling everybody, if you have an NBA team or NFL team in your city or where you are, go to them. Each one of
But you
them.
know what, Diane? I want everyone to talk about this here. And this is AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota, the Santita Jackson Show. If you want to stick around for more of this, do that. But AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota, the Santita Jackson Show. We're having a compelling conversation about what we're going to do. See, because there are structural inequalities that promote poverty in America. And I think we should agree on that. And not agree with it, agree on it, because that is real. There are too many people who are poor in America.
That's right.
Who don't eat. Look, just because you're overweight
Don't mean you
Plus,
ain't hungry.
it doesn't mean you're not hungry.
Sure.
Because, I mean, you are, whatever you say about Robert Kennedy and whatever you say about Michelle Obama, they both did the same thing on trying to promote healthy eating and healthy foods. They both did that. They've both been doing that. Whatever you feel about Robert Kennedy, you don't have to agree with anybody, everything that anybody does, but he's trying. You try something. We should give people seeds. All of this vacant land in the middle of the Midwest, in Detroit, in Chicago, everywhere. We should have some gardens.
Yeah.
And these athletes make a lot of money for a little amount of time that's supposed to last them a lifetime. You know what?
Yeah.
We've got to deal with the structural problems that promote poverty, that promote hunger,
And we
that
have to
promote.
get back to governments that want to solve problems for the people. There's
Thank
something
you.
that went wrong for us as Americans, and I don't know where it got started, but it is
At the beginning.
wrong for a leader of a nation to drive past homeless people and
Thank
not
you.
say, how can I create policy? What is the policy? Who are the thought leaders? Who are the community leaders that I need to bring to the table so I better understand how to keep that person from having to live on the street? And instead, we have leaders that look at that person and say, that's disgusting. I want you to clean that person up out of my sight. This isn't new to us, though. I mean, we
No.
saw that something was terribly broken during the COVID pandemic.
Yes.
Americans couldn't bother to wear a mask in order to save other Americans, but they can put a mask on in order to oppress us and in order to badger us and beat us in our streets. You know, we got to ask ourselves who it is that we have become as a people, that we don't care truly about our neighbors.
Amen.
We have to ask why, having become such a people, we now elect people that punish us.
Say that part.
You know what?
That
Hold on.
part.
I haven't.
You
We
need
haven't
to
heard
ask
from-
why
we have not heard
people
from-
don't
we have
want to
not-
open the
We have
government
not heard from Jane in
for
a
their
while,
own.
and she's
That's
not
why
okay. I hear you. Wait a
the
minute.
government was open.
The government's closed, and it needs to be open. But if you're gonna take $1 trillion from me and jam up my health care, no, y'all got to get this right. And they should
They're
swear
taking it from illegals.
and they should swear in Adelita Grijalva. And they don't want to do it because they don't want to release those Epstein files. So they tried out some NBA players today to distract me.
I could care less about Epstein. He has no.
No.
People are
Let me
alive.
tell you why you need
And
to
nobody's
care.
life I know or know of.
You need to care about sex trafficking, and more than that, you need to care about our government being held hostage on blackmail, because that's the real story with him. And no one wants to talk about that part. And that's a shame.
The real story
and Democrats and Republicans have tried to cover him, but you know what? Truth crushed to the earth will always rise.
That's right.
We're always in somebody's business. Always focusing on.
I don't look. I grew up in public life. I don't care about.
I could care less.
No.
What happened 20 years ago?
I could care less unless your personal business impacts public policy. When your personal business impacts public policy, then
we got problems.
Yeah. And I will never stop caring about sexually abused children. I think that that's a low bar.
Thank you.
For caring. If I'm gonna say let's care about homeless people and let's care about people who are suffering and hungry, you're darn right. I'm gonna say let's care about young sexually abused women trafficked by powerful men. That's a low flipping bar. Join us there.
And I want to know why do you have your house and everything wired up so you can catch these depraved people having sex with these young girls?
That's right.
It's his house.
Wait a minute.
Not you can take me if you want to.
Well, you're right.
With your Ring doorbell.
Then if
I'm on the street.
If they're a guest, then don't blackmail them and bend public policy so you can kill people all across the world.
I don't know what the
no.
No one feels more about young girls than I do. I've defended them.
That's not what I'm talking.
Dealt with those issues.
You're missing
I had legal services for 16 years.
Yeah, no, and I respect that. Stop it, Linda. I told you when you come on here, stop trying to talk over everybody. Stop it.
I was responding to.
No, but Linda, then pause and wait.
Fine, you got it.
No, Linda, stop it. Stop.
Go ahead.
Now, absolutely, I'm about to do that on this show. That wait a minute, that bears my name, and therefore I want a certain tenor here, and I'm going to have it. And that's the end of that. I don't mind. Let me tell you something. A lot of people have different opinions. Senator Lakeisha, former state representative Lakeisha, Diane Gibson, Dr. Amar, Jane Ruby, and Attorney Bernard. I don't mind that because I don't want an echo chamber. But what I do, and I keep saying this to you, I require that you be respectful. Stop. I don't care about your opinion. Unlike anybody else on this panel, I don't think anybody else knows Donald Trump. I do. I ain't got no quarrel with him that's personal. I really don't. My quarrels with people are political, and I'm mature enough to separate the political from the personal. I grew up with people who would take us to school who'd been sent to kill my father. My father said, don't hold a grudge against them because they do forgive them because they don't know what they've done or what they were trying to do. So don't talk to me about that. Enough of that. I want to keep the issues where they are. I don't have time, Solomon, to hate anybody. And I don't promote that here. And I don't promote lies. The fact is, the Republicans under a great deal of pressure, because I have a brother who's in Congress right now. They have Proud Boys standing in the chamber. So a lot of these Republicans vote against the interest of against their consciences and against the interest of their constituents because they are being physically intimidated. That's real. He's there. He sees it. Many of these people are living through a January 6th all the time, over and over and over again. Because they are serving the oligarchs, Jane. They're not serving the people. We're being served up. So you can fall in love with whatever politician, whatever party you want to. Ain't nobody coming to save you. If they were, you would have $1 trillion in the system. Wait till your bill comes due on your health care. You just wait until that happens. Then I want you to talk to me. Jane, what were you saying? Bless your heart. You walked into all these crazy, crazy women, but that's all right, girl. You good. Come on, Jane. Because you.
This is what we need to be doing. Like this is where honesty and you are presented with, as you said, different sides of what we're all going through. And you know what? Like I'm sitting here listening, and it's like, you know what? The patriarchy. It is these white elitist men in a global sense who think that they can treat everybody that doesn't look like them horribly. And that's the way it's always been. And until we break a lot of the systemic stuff, Lisa Simpson saying the whole damn system's wrong. That should be all of us. That should be all of us and our ability to, critique and make thoughtful change. Things would look a lot different if everyone was taken care of and we can sit around and research our ballot. There are some people's ballots are multi-pages long. They don't have time to research all of their candidates in order to be the most informed and active participant in our democracy. Can you imagine if we were able to take care of everyone and then people could actually, really sort of think about the world moving forward? Everyone is in crisis mode, thinking about what has just happened to them, what's happening to them right now. It's so hard to get past what is happening in this moment. Like people down the street from me, I'm on Zooms all day. Down the street from me one day, I get the text message from Rapid Alert. People were taken, just picked up off the street. U.S. citizens picked up off the street. And even for me, having to continue as if all of this is normal we shouldn't be pretending that this is normal. We should be all hands on deck,
Mm-hmm.
you know, fighting against this. And it really starts with women. You know, Santita, you and I talk all the time about, like, you know, it's the women that are going to be the ones to save us.
That's
because
right.
we have skill sets, we work together, we understand what's at stake, we understand the things that are different about each of us, that together makes us stronger, makes us
Mhm.
powerful. Like, think of all of the attacks on women's rights in this country, the fact that we can't get an ERA into, like, equal rights built into our constitution, even though it has met the minimum requirement 5 years ago. You know, the ERA met the minimum requirement. We should have gender equity in this country. Think of all of what we can do if women were in more positions of power in this country. We do not have gender parity in our government. And that poses a really, really big threat. The attacks on reproductive rights, the attacks on education, the attacks on food, all of these impact women in particular, because we are the caregivers. We are the ones, you know, that make decisions, you know, a majority of us on behalf of the family. And, you know, it's really scary stuff.
Well, you know, and let me say to Solomon, I'm not a wealthy woman. I have a show. This show is one that I pay for because I'm not paid to do it. Okay? I do this out of a spirit of service. And if I were a wealthy woman, it would be my business if I did that. But that's not what I do. My father did make a lot of money, but he gave it away. He didn't give it to me. He said, what I'm going to do is leave you a good enough name, I hope, so that you'll always be able to eat. People won't stand in your way.
Mm-hmm.
So don't play with me. And you apologize to me for telling that lie. Because that's a lie. So don't play with me. And don't play here. Because if someone were wealthy here and the thing is, I'm not here to make an argument for anyone. I'm here to make an argument for truth. I don't want anyone to die because they cannot get the proper health care. The Yale University study said, as this bill has been constructed, 50,000 people a year from now on are going to die. That might not sound like a lot of people to you, but that's 1,000 persons per state. That's bad. Too many people are going to feel lumps and feel something and say, well, why even go to the hospital? Why go to the doctor? They can't even get to the doctor. That ought to be, I mean, why doesn't that bother you, Solomon? Why? And I've given you enough airspace. If you want to be on this chat line, you tell the truth and you speak some truth. Otherwise, hold your pen. Enough of that. We are women here, and this is some serious business. And that's it. Walking up and down the street, ice was all over my grocery store. For what? And you can come on in, Linda, and guess what?
The reason they're there because
reason,
your mayor has declared war on ICE, i.e.,
and good,
in every every other
good.
city, ICE and the police work together.
No,
that as I said earlier, that's why you don't have people being attacked and taken out their home, because the police know the neighborhood.
Have you been looking at, girl? Have you been looking at Portland? Are you for real?
I'm telling
no.
I'm a police commissioner. I know what I'm talking about. We got 3,000 police. You got 10 times that many. But the bottom line is we work together. We don't have people being.
Do you know what our former mayor is about to do?
Because the police, the local police, ICE doesn't know.
No. Do you know what Mayor Lori Lightfoot's about to do?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
Our former mayor, Lori Lightfoot, is heading up a task force to unmask ICE.
Oh, I heard that today.
I'm so grateful. Senator Lakeisha Collins, before you about to pull out those lovely braids.
Is she going to unmask all the officers in Vice? Because every Vice officer wears a mask.
No, and they need to be unmasked.
They do.
But what were you saying? Come on now, girl. Open your eyes. It's all right. It's all right. Senator Lakeisha Collins, it's all good. Because we have these fights all the time. And let me tell you something. everybody here represents a point of view.
Mhm.
And we have to figure out how we got here and how we can get through all of this together. Because believe it or not, Linda drives me crazy, but she's one of the dearest friends I've got. If I needed something, I could call her.
Mhm.
And guess what? If you needed something, you could call her too. We're gonna have to grow up in our politics, everybody. We're not always going to agree. We're not always going to see things the same way. We're not. One of the most right-wing politicians in our modern history took me aside and produced my first album, Orrin Hatch. He said, I believe in you. And I know that you're a decent woman who wants to sing some beautiful songs. Hey, I got Roger Ailes. Hey, I think you have a future in this business. Just stay right here and do some difficult personal times. Wouldn't let me surrender my contract. He said, you got to live through a storm. That's all. I'm just saying to you, and I've watched my father turn foes into friends.
Mhm.
That's what you just need to do that, because at the end of behind it all, people are people.
Mhm.
So let's do that and stop calling people out their names. Stop playing these games.
Please.
Stop doing that. But Senator, you were saying
Yeah. So I respect that, Ms. Jackson.
Santita is
I
just fine.
respect everybody on the call, even the people that's in this comment, because I feel like everybody just come from a different space and have different views, and I'm always going to respect other people's views. But for me, I always try to get to know the other individual I'm talking to, because again, there's a lot of sensitive stuff being said on this call tonight, especially when we're talking about sexual abuse of young people, because I am a victim of that, which is why I'm very passionate about these issues that I cover. But what I will say is that, because I saw Solomon's comment when he said, well, how did you get elected if America's racist? And my thing is
Why don't you
this,
respond to that?
I understand the history of this country. And I'm not going to debate that with somebody who refuses to acknowledge the history of the country and the systemic racism that we still are facing in our communities. But I will say, when it comes to immigration, it's Congress' job to pass comprehensive immigration. Neither party has come up with some real comprehensive immigration. We understand the process. Give me one moment, Miss Linda, please. Let me get this out, because I do have to get home to my babies. For me, it has always been an issue, because when people say illegals, they're not talking about the facts that immigrants, they work and they pay taxes, and they do not get the benefits of those taxes that they're paying. Yes, they do file taxes. They file taxes. And they actually paid, I think it was 90 billion, if I'm not mistaken, last year in taxes. So that is taxation without representation.
No, it is not.
And my brother-in-law spends money to make sure that he's compliant, going to court, you name it. Because the system is so rigged intentionally, it takes them forever to get to that citizenship. That's not okay, because there are people who have been here 30 plus years working, building a life, no matter how they did it, building a life, and now they're being snatched up and taken somewhere unknown. Some of them are being brutalized. There was a patient over here in North Lawndale that got snatched up today. There was an alderman that I represent, who 2 staff members who are U.S. citizens, because of a Republican-controlled Supreme Court, said it was okay to racially profile, and because of their language. They snatched these 2 young people up. Yeah, they got out, but it's trauma that they have to deal with every single day. And then there were people who were saying, well, Black folks need to just be quiet and sit back, don't say anything, because this ain't our fight. And then they started chasing young Black people out of a Walgreens and slamming them on the ground and telling the mom to shut the F up. So again, the way this is being done is inhumane. It's not okay. And I'm sorry, I don't know nobody's religion on this call, but I do believe in God. And I'm not going to sit in no church and pray and talk about love thy neighbor and all of that stuff, but then sit up here and watch people being terrorized. I see it all the time in my own community. I have been a victim of racial profiling too. I have 3 young Black boys who I have to talk to every single day before they walk out the door on how to stand up straight, look a person in the eye, say, yes, sir, don't do this, don't do that. If you get pulled over by the police, you got to do X, Y, and Z. White mothers don't have to do that. They don't have to worry about their kids coming home. They don't have to give them that long hour conversation before they walk out the door in fear that they cannot come back home. And that is the country that we live in. That is the society that we live in. And so when we talk about solutions, in my heart, and I criticize my own party because I believe this party is no longer grassroots like it used to be. There are too many people who are on that elite status who are running this party, in my opinion. Okay? Because we wouldn't have had young Black men voting conservative if they felt seen and heard in this party. So we have to address that first.
Wait a minute, can I give you a little bit of history? Stay right there. Can I give you a little bit of the history?
Yes.
When Reverend was running, there was to count. We were sitting in the hospitality suite on our floor, and someone walked in with a paper with a fax talking about the formation of the DLC, the Democratic Leadership Council.
Mm-hmm.
And they were being formed to counteract the impact of Jesse Jackson and the 2.5 million voters he brought into the party. And this was Bill Clinton, Al Gore, Sam Nunn, Chuck Robb from Virginia. They were all the right-wing politicians. And so they sent, in 88, they sent Al Gore after Reverend. Reverend took him out. Reverend didn't run in 92. The party moved right with a smile, just so that you know. And that's when the neocon takeover. I just wanted to give you some of that as you can tell, Senator. Yeah, no, please.
I'm sorry. But no, I totally understand. And so in a district that I represent, which is 217,000 people, I got 93,000 constituents who are going to lose their health care because of legislation from the federal government. That's almost half the district. And these are people who actually go to work. Some work maybe 1 or 2 jobs, and they're going to lose their health care. Now, my sister, who is a liver transplant survivor, this is her 15th or 16th year right now.
Praise God.
And let me be clear, Solomon, I don't hate Trump, and I'm not one of those people that just like to bash people, okay? I am all about the character of the person and what they're doing. He is in one of the most powerful positions, and he is literally making decisions based on his relationship or how he feels about a certain party, okay? And they're holding Congress hostage right now because folks want to save people who are on the ACA. That's what this fight is about. That's why this shutdown is happening. They want the ACA to expire. And Democrats are saying, no, we have to make sure there are some protections there. Whatever the reason people want to think it is what it is. I've been all up on this. So my sister, his first term, it was towards the end. She was about to lose her health care. She was crying because she needed her medicine in order for her to stay alive. We got another president, thank God. Here we are again. We're not even at year 1. These premiums are going up. These prescriptions are going up. And now the state of Illinois have to figure out how do we put these protections in place, or how do we pay some of this stuff down so that families will still be able to see their doctors. But my sister, though, I got to listen to her crying because she's not going to be able to afford her prescriptions. She's not going to be able to keep paying her bill to get to the doctor. That's the type of reality that a lot of families are going to be facing. That's the type of reality they're facing. And on top of that, mothers, fathers, kids that going to school, seniors who rely on their food stamps, WIC programs, all of that stuff is coming to a halt. So yes, we can figure out ways to talk to, folks to get them to donate so that we can, continue to pass out food. But when you're talking about a mass of people, millions of people who are going to go hungry if this does not get fixed and it's not addressed, you're not going to be looking at no food lands. You're going to be looking at people breaking into grocery stores. You're going to be looking at those small business owners shutting down because there's no one that's going to really be able to shop there. This is about the have and the have-nots. And this is what happens when you don't build real sustainable systems to make people independent to where they can actually be sustainable and successful. Because they rely on these subsidies. Because we have produced more workers than we have produced more entrepreneurs, more business people. That's just the reality of where we're at right now. And so it's like pulling tooth and nail. And I'm in the legislature right now. I deal with my colleagues on the opposite side of the aisle. I know some of them personally. I'm not going to lie. Some of them, they're some cool guys. They're not extreme Republicans. They don't agree with what's going on. But you want to know what the problem is? They're quiet because they don't want to be ousted. I seen one of my Republican colleagues when I was in the House who voted on something that was benefiting his district. But because his colleagues told him not to do it, they got rid of him.
That's it.
Called him all types of punks and names on the floor. I witnessed this. And if I could find a video, I will. But they did this to him. He was a young man and he was very, he was cool. He was like, I got to do this for my district, but they're going to kill me. And they punked him out. He ain't say nothing else the rest of the session. And the next general election, they got him up out of there and got somebody else in that was very extreme. Okay? So this is not a game. I watch votes take place every single time I'm in the legislature, and they will get up and make it a show just to make people think they down there fighting. And then when they're done, they go and have dinner and have fun and laugh and drink together. This is not a game for me. Because I want a future where my kids are accepted for their character, not judged by the color of their skin. I want them to be able to go to work, have a career, get a good quality education, be able to have a family, and not have to struggle like their mom or other people that are here now today. And the problem is that there's too much fighting and not enough solutions being solved or presented. But I watch this up close and personal right now where I'm at. And I see the games that are being played. And so all of this Democrat versus Republican, that's bull crap. Because billions of dollars are getting moved in our government. And it ain't coming to the people. It's going to special interests. I'm not no celebrity. I don't ever want to be one. Okay? I worked in a nursing home. I saw the injustice there. I stand up to the industry to this day, unapologetically. I know they got millions of dollars. They can take me out at any time, but I don't care because I'm going to do what's right. Always. Always. And it's not a walk in a park in a General Assembly either, Mr. Solomon. It's not. Because trying to pass bills that are strictly for the people, those are the bills that they clown, they talk about, and then they lie in their newsletters. They get on news stations and they tell stories about them. And people don't even go and read the bill. They don't even understand the process. All the name calling, all of the wishing people would die and all of this stuff, that's ungodly. I don't understand what we're coming to. So when I'm talking to my constituents, whether I am on the north side of the district, the further to the east, or even on the west side, guess what? I'm having the same conversation. I'm teaching my constituents about the government process, how to slip on a bill, whether you are support or not in support of it. I'm telling them what's in the bill. Hey, go look it up. This is where you go. Read that bill. You tell me what you want to do because I work for you. I don't work for the party. I don't work for my colleagues. I work for the people who vote for me. And if every elected official would do that and come to the table and talk about real issues and not about what they like and what they don't like, we could really get something done. So I commend the ladies on the phone today, especially, from the League of Women Voters, because again, we all play a valuable part, but it's too much. It's like a plague of hate that's just happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sad because these kids got to see it. They got to see it, and it's sad. And we got to stop that because, again, there's billions of dollars just moving. All of these distractions, and there's money constantly moving. And this fight that's happening in Congress right now is about people wanting to give health care.
No, it is
Health
not.
care.
No, it is not.
Versus
it is. Yeah, it is.
people who are like, no, because you're just going to give it to what they say illegals. And because it's a democratic state, because your leader talked about me, I'm not going to send y'all no money. I pay my federal taxes just like everybody else. That money belongs back to the people. You all do know that.
Issue.
And the states cannot operate on their own. We can't. So when people say we don't want taxes to go up, guess what? He's forcing them to. That's what you're doing technically. When people are being laid off their jobs, when people don't have any income to come in and pay their bills, their mortgage, their car notes, buy miscellaneous items, necessities, that causes them to have to depend on who? The government, when they didn't have to before. Those federal workers, right? So it's a ripple down effect. And all I see is money constantly going to the top and it's never reaching the bottom. And what voters feel and what I'm telling you what my constituents tell me. If they don't feel seen or heard, then what's the use of voting for? Because it ain't gonna change nothing. That's how they feel. So we need more elected officials with one lived experience, that's unapologetic, that's not afraid to speak the truth, that's not afraid to stand up, that's not afraid to admit when they're wrong. He's tearing down the whole east wing of the White House with no permission. That's not his house.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
That's our house. And you have to have permission. All you got to do is Google, look it up. The governor of the state of Illinois can't do anything he want to do with the governor's mansion. Got to have permission. These are basic things that a lot of people just don't know about. And the reality is that 19% of Americans, they're the only ones it's only 19% who know who their government is, who serves them, what their roles are, what they can and what they can't do. That means that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And if a lot of us can just put our differences to the side, I promise you more work can get done. Yeah. And I'm not in the game of playing, pointing fingers. I'm just stating the facts. I'm in this right now. So I understand and I know what I see every day. And what I see is games being played. That's what I see. That's what I experience where I'm at in the state house.
Well,
may I respond in part? There have been so many things that are said that are not true.
I'm telling you what I experienced. With all due respect.
Yes, everyone in the world pays taxes on income they earn in a country. If Beyonce has a concert tonight in France, before her plane is able to take off, she has paid taxes to France and to the city of Paris on the income that she generated in that community. Everyone pays taxes in the world. So the fact that illegals pay taxes is irrelevant. They're using the streets, they're using the roads, they're using the facilities of the city, and they have to make a contribution to the city. So that has nothing to do with the issue whatsoever.
Well, wait a minute, but wait. What does that have to do with the government workers? We're talking about them right now.
What? No,
no.
I'm responding to the senator.
I addressed one little thing to somebody else comment.
I mean, what I'm saying is, you keep going way off over here because you beat the stick on these people who've been brought here on a corporate program, like we were brought here on a corporate program. I mean, that's why we're here. So I wish you would look at what the reason I asked you to come here. I got up today, and as I've been looking at what people are discussing, people are worried about their food.
Yes.
You have people who never thought that they would not that they wouldn't be getting a paycheck next week. They're not going to get it. No. See, wait, hold it. I'm saying let's keep the issues where they are. I promise you, we can have another conversation about people, migrants and whatnot. And when we have the conversation, I hope that you will add into the conversation and put it as a base of understanding that after the Civil War, Black people were not citizens. The Constitution had to be amended stop. That's the
I'm in the present. I'm in 2025.
No. What
And
I'm
we
saying,
have a problem in 2025
no. Listen,
that we
I
need
got
to
you.
address.
No. But what I'm saying, when you start talking about the illegals, we were illegal too. We've been that.
We've been a
So
lot of
no.
things.
But
And women weren't people either.
and you're right. And so
So
since
that's right.
I have determined the parameters of this discussion, I don't want to hear about that anymore. I want to talk about all of these hungry people who are lined up and down the street. See, I'm gonna take it a little bit further than you, Senator. Jane, Dr. Lakeisha, and Linda, Attorney Bernard. Going to the grocery store is going to be a dangerous proposition in a minute.
Yes.
They're going to have some holdups in the grocery stores. Some people going to get hurt. I didn't say are going to. I said they're going to get hurt. Because people are not going to watch their children starve to death in the United States. That ain't going to happen.
But Santita, why are they going to get hurt? Just why?
No, because
is the government shut down? Let's deal with the root cause.
You want to know why? Because
why is the government shut down?
Because $1 trillion, was removed from Medicare and Medicaid and our healthcare system.
That relates to the care for people who are not United States.
No, it does not. No, it relates to all of us. It relates because I get my health care on the exchange. That's about to get shut down, honey.
The exchange
is not going to be shut down. You are going to have a 100% and more than that jump in your healthcare costs. Did you not hear her talk about her sister who had the liver transplant?
I feel terrible about that. I feel terrible about
that.
I'm
going to say this really quick. I understand that, Miss. I understand where Miss Linda is coming from too. But what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to get to the bottom of, no leader of the free world should hold our government or our funds hostage to make a point about anything he disagrees with. That's just doesn't matter. So even if that's his personal whatever that he wanted to do, you still don't hold money back. You still don't allow people to go to work with no pay. At the end of the day, because it puts the economy and it puts us all in a dangerous situation. And so you think about people getting arrested, the single mom getting arrested for stealing milk or diapers for her baby. Is an isolated incident. It's going to be on a massive level. Is what I'm saying.
Apples and oranges.
Wait a minute, hold on, Jay.
The issue is the appropriation of federal money for people who are not United States citizens.
That's not what this is about. Yeah. I talked to a congressman real early about this. I don't think Jonathan is lying.
I know he doesn't lie.
Okay, and he said that this is about. He kept saying before they passed the bill, he said, you don't know how bad this is going to be. This is going to be a catastrophe. Even some of his Republican colleagues, that's why they got Marjorie Taylor Greene, for whom I have a lot of respect. I don't agree. I don't have to agree with her on everything, but she got me on Gaza. I'm with her on that. I'm with her on this government shutdown. I'm with her on the Epstein files, and I'm with her on this healthcare. This healthcare piece is this is going to be, anytime you're going to kick off 20 million people immediately, that's 20 million people and their families. That's not just 20 million people, raw numbers. Hold on, Jane, you wanted to say what?
Yeah, and it's just, it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, it's just really mind-boggling that we're in this position where it's all about just pitting each other against each other. It's always like, this person has what I should have, or this person, their ideas are stupid and don't matter because my ideas take precedent. We are such a divided society where it is always about what other people are taking from you, why other people's perspectives are discredited instead of, just caring about humanity. Like, I mean, this government shutdown is illegal immigrants in this country, undocumented people are not, stealing our money for their own health care. Like, we know that is not happening. But honestly, even if they were getting health care in this country, I'm not offended by that, because if you're sick, you should be able to get the care that you need. Like, I don't know why caring about other people, why
Americans or illegals? Who
No,
comes?
let her finish, because
I
when
want her.
you brought up
I want to ask you that
sure.
question.
If
you go
someone
to any other country in the world, and if you get sick, they take care of you. It is the public.
Not any other country.
Yeah, no,
Some.
honey. When you go to France,
In Western Europe.
I got sick in France.
Not the world. You don't get taken care of in China. My girlfriend had an appendicitis. They said if she couldn't pay $12,000, she was gonna die.
I got sick in
France. So she used the American Express.
And you know what? Let me tell you, I got sick in France.
That's not true.
I got sick in France. I got sick in Italy. The doctor
Europe.
Europe. I'm talking about places that make sense with their health care. To me, I agree with Dr. King. You need to create a floor beneath which no human being should fall. I'm with you, Jane. I'm not offended when you take care of someone and make sure that they are well. COVID should have taught you that.
No. If I have to choose between funding healthcare for my countrymen and women, I choose my countrymen and women. Like I would choose my family.
But that's the thing too, Linda. It's taking money away from actual American citizens too by doubling and tripling these people's premiums, not expanding Medicaid to all of these states that have done all of this. So this has been a residual effect that goes on and on and on. The issue was it was Barack Obama who came up with the Affordable Care Act, and they still pissed off.
And they was rolling it back since then. But also we spend more money with people going to the emergency room than we do for preventative care. So we're actually spending way more money in this country because people, again, they would rather go to the emergency room than to go to see an actual primary care doctor. Emergency rooms cost way more with less services than a primary care doctor. That's a problem with the country not prioritizing health care for all. Like
people don't. They want to go to the emergency room. They don't go to urgent care.
Nobody wants to go to the emergency room.
But a lot of that too is due to history as well. Like seriously, a lot of that has to do with history as well. I'm telling you, I have a grandmother who comes from the South. Okay, she didn't trust going to the doctor.
And why not?
And because they experimented on Black folks like that.
Oh,
they gave
that's still the same thing. Black women who face 3 to 4 times more infant mortality than white women. And I passed the birth equity bill last year, just so you know.
Congratulations.
That's something dear to me. But they're dying on the table when 80%
talking about the Mississippi appendectomy?
Yes, 80% of those patients could have been saved. There's something wrong with our healthcare system. And yes, I do agree with you, Miss Linda. Everybody ain't just Miss Linda. Everybody now sitting at home. Just 1 second. But everybody's not sitting at home.
Linda,
everybody's not at home just eating on Twinkies and donuts, okay? Some people have hormonal issues too that causes them to have their body attack them as well. So there's just an issue with our country when it comes to health care, which is a human right for everybody. And so I would rather for people to get preventative care than to go and overcrowd these emergency rooms, overcrowd these safety net hospitals, which are lifelines in communities that have been intentionally disenfranchised, who are on the brink of closing right now because the federal government, from the first time this administration was in, cut the CMS, which took away money from those hospitals. And now, again, it's playing games because they don't want certain people to get health care. You should never hold anyone hostage for that. That's a dictator, no matter how you try to look at it. When a government tries to control who gets what, when, where, and how, that's a problem because your job as a public servant is to serve the people. That is your job. It is not to push your own ideology on other people. That's not our role.
And that's all I'm trying
to say. That's all I'm trying to say. It's not our role to dictate how our constituents move. That's just not it. I get where you're coming from about this being a sovereign country. I get where other people have been arguing, saying it's a republic. I get all of that. But I would rather have the majority of the people that have buy-in than only a select few. So I believe in democracy. I do. Yes, I am a Democrat, but I am very independent. I'm very independent in how I think and how I move. And that's how I've always been. And so I agree with you, Miss Jane, on what you said. I agree with all of what you all say. I respect everybody's opinion. But what we're missing right now is, what do we do about the people who are going to be losing their SNAP, their premiums doubling, people who are going to lose access to healthcare? Because the reality is that there are just some communities who are not as equipped to fill out these long applications that are so confusing to some folks. Again, everybody's not the same. What works for me may not work for my neighbor. That's just the reality. I worked in healthcare on a memory care unit for 12 years, 11 to 12 years. I had to learn how to be a doctor, a nurse, a friend, a sister, a daughter, all at the same time. And the disparities I saw there in that nursing home versus the other nursing homes I used to have to travel to and represent workers and advocate for seniors is that if you live in a good neighborhood and the income is higher than a poor neighborhood, you get better service. That's a problem.
That's true in restaurants.
Restaurants, housing,
everything.
everything. So that's why I'm saying I don't do the whole Republican versus Democratic thing. What I do is I talk about the realities of what we're facing. And yes, everybody's upset. And there's so many things hitting us all at one time. And the best thing that people do in moments like that, when their back is against the wall, is just to fight at each other, start fighting one another, start pointing the fingers. We need leaders who are going to calm the storm, who are going to be honest, who are going to be transparent, and who are going to talk and have decorum, all of that. We need that right now. We don't need somebody that's making AI photos defecating over citizens.
Wait a minute.
And you don't the First Amendment right.
You don't need a U.S. senator who tells her constituents, well, we're all going to die anyway.
Yes, we don't need none of that. We don't need none of that.
Apologizes from a cemetery.
Yes.
And by the way, she has said, I'm not going to run for re-election because she can't.
Who?
Yeah.
The Republican woman senator, I forget her name, from Iowa.
Yeah, there's just representatives who have, there's good ones and there's some who, just took advantage of their roles. And I get the frustration from everybody. But when it comes to life-saving, essential things that people need, I'm going to always be on the right side, no matter what it is. I'm just going to always be on the right side. And a lot of that is because I lived through it. I understand it. And I'm not going to turn my back on people because of the road that I'm in. I'm still struggling. I'm a state senator. Let me be honest with you here. I don't make a lot of money. And I didn't take on this road to make money. I just didn't. I've been in survival mode forever. I've learned how to just survive. But that's not okay, because a lot of people who are in survival mode, they're living with health challenges, stress, living check to check, trying to choose which light bill to pay. Am I going to pay for my medication? Am I going to pay for some food on the table? Like, that's the reality of a lot of people in this country.
Wait a minute. People are rationing insulin.
Yeah.
Wait. It
don't even cost a lot. That don't even cost a lot of money, mind you.
But there was
a big pharma, they overcharge.
But see, there was a time when we took animal grade insulin. But as they have, and this was just a few years ago, they've done so many advances in medicine. Now you have a human insulin and animal insulin. Americans, more of us, are going back to animal insulin because it's cheaper. It's not as effective, but it's cheaper. And they're even rationing that. I've interviewed people who are doing that. No one on God's earth should be living that way. I don't care if you came here. Nobody.
I agree.
And I'm just saying, for me, I always, they say, what would Jesus do? And we don't have to be in the same, we don't have to have the same belief system. I'm just saying there's some things we ought to agree on, the common good.
Mm-hmm.
people should not be reduced. You don't know who you're talking to. You know where people have been. You don't know where you're going. These people at this hospital, I don't even call the name of the hospital because I know it would embarrass them. 60 years later, almost. For me to say that you all did this to Reverend Jesse Jackson and his child. I don't want to do that. But God knows they did. And wait a minute, they wouldn't want you to say that either, and that's a shame. I share these stories with you because the Lord gave us the space, the grace. Senator Collins, Jane, Ruby, and Attorney Bernard. We've lived life at a whole lot of different levels. Joni Mitchell has a song, I'm looking at life from both. I've seen life from both sides now. If you keep on living, you can, anything that you've accused someone of doing that was wrong, you'll get accused. You'll have a day where you'll get a hungry day too. You keep on living, or your life, something about your life will be threatened. It's just, you just keep on living. You're going to be made not to feel welcome somewhere. And I'm saying that no one should feel that way. No one should be treated that way. Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's it.
There is also personal responsibility. People make different choices in their life. Absolutely. So at what point do we say you are responsible for your choices in your life versus, the boogeyman? He is responsible for my choices.
You know what? I say it all the time. But like my mother said, Jesse, Johnny, and I were born in 2.5 years.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Oh, okay.
The first three, we were born when my parents had nothing. My mother used to sit up in the bed with us at night because I shared a room with Jesse and Johnny until I was 7. And when we lived in this apartment, it was at the University of Chicago. She would sit up with us at night. Do you remember when you and Senator Collins, Jane, you wouldn't remember this, but they used to put a record on a little fake TV, and you turn it, and it would tell a story. And my mother would sit up with us at night because they had a mouse, and she didn't want the mouse to come in our beds and eat us or hurt us. Hey. It was my great-grandmother who couldn't read or write who walked into their apartment and said, I smell pneumonia. Because the doctor who my parents had been going to kept telling them that Johnny, well, he's just got a bad cold. My great-grandmother felt his back and said, he's swimming in water, baby. We got to get him to the emergency room. I smelled pneumonia. I could smell it. To show you how the Lord works, do you know 4.5 years later, we lived around the corner from that doctor?
Wow.
Everybody, watch it. You know where you've been. You don't know where you're going. We just moved into our house and we drove around the corner. My father said, you know who lives there? I said, who, Daddy? He said, Dr. So-and-so. You remember the doctor who wrote Johnny off? That's his house. Everybody, please have some compassion for folks.
I agree.
Because we're about to go in some really tough times. If you do Instacart, that's gonna be a wrap. Because people, these folks, you're gonna order the Instacart and they're gonna take it home because they're hungry. I won't be happy about it. But guess what? I can't blame people because they're hungry. I got a TikTok video of an old white woman. She looked to be in her 90s, and she was apologizing to the security because she was just eating off the shelves of the grocery store. And she kept apologizing to the man. She said, sir, I'm just so hungry. I just couldn't take it. Nobody should live like this, y'all. I mean, really.
No.
So, you know what?
I agree with you.
I literally.
But if we didn't let 14 million people in, we'd have more money for the millions that are here.
We
got a lot of money.
But you know what?
We have more.
You know what? Let me tell you something. Dr. King was talking before this became a crisis. and
And
the
we shouldn't.
Ukrainians were not a crisis when they were brought here, and we had to take
You're right.
38,000 of them at one time. So just stop. We had a crisis in poverty. Dr. King talked about this 60 years ago. Robert Kennedy went to Appalachia in 68.
That's true.
We got, I mean, we had a poor people's campaign in 68. That was Dr. King's last great campaign.
It's still going
My,
to
my father was the mayor of Resurrection City.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just stop.
Yeah.
We have structural inequality in this country. White women make almost 80% of what a white man makes. Black women, not even 70 cents. It's all wrong. An average Black woman's work life, by the time at the end of it, she has lost $1 million. That's just the average. Black people will have the wealth and will have zero wealth by 2050. For the people who built this country was not built by immigrants. It was built by enslaved people. And then other people came here and got jobs. I ain't mad at nobody, but let's tell the truth. And we haven't even talked about indigenous people.
Mm-hmm.
So stop, everybody. I literally have a minute for everybody before we get out of here. But I want to thank all of you, my sisters. And of course, Lakeisha and Jane, you have to be my babies, my daughters, because I'm young and I am that old. Look, no. I had baby weight.
Not to get old but clothes and then come back and
honey, as long as I don't look a wreck, I'm all right, girl. Okay, how about that part? If I get a French braid down the back of my neck, I'll be all right. Because I'm gonna keep out when it's time for me to yank this up, I sure will. But I just want to thank you all for being here as I give everyone their closing thoughts. And please confine it to a minute because we got to try and cut this down. But I hadn't planned for this to be 2 hours. But you know what? I hope everybody here got something out of the conversation.
Yeah.
And I hope you know that you're part of the family, Jane and Lakeisha. I know you're like, Lord, who do you bring on? Jane is like,
we love you, Miss Linda.
I love you more. I really like you a lot. Both you and Jane and Santita.
These crazy Black women who she bring in and poor and Linda's closer to you, Jane, than she is to anybody. She's just as crazy as she can be. But we love Linda because Linda is a fighter and she's a freedom fighter. I mean, and I don't have to agree with you. I don't. All I'm saying is what we have to do is be agreeable with each other. That's all. Because we need each other. And I know I called Linda almost all on the way to the air and I wanted her on here. People said, "Oh, she brings a little spice." I don't agree with her. But some people do agree with you. And I want you to know you have a home here. Because I'm not into excluding people unless you're disrespectful. Then I invite your leave. That's all. So I want to get some closing thoughts from everybody. And of course, some people want to know how they can contribute to your campaign, Senator Collins. So I'll give you an extra seconds. And wait a minute. And you know what? I'm sorry. And Linda is running for re-election. Excuse me.
Really?
Yes. She's a police commissioner. Aren't you scared? I know you ain't going to Detroit. Okay, just kidding. But wait a minute. Now, Linda will take care of you.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
She is. She's a civil rights lawyer. Frighteningly enough, yes, she is. I love her. I love my Linda. I've known Linda all my life, practically. And so, and I love her. But Linda, I'm going to start with you and get closing thoughts. Linda, how can we get in touch with you before? That's right. Solomon said, "Let's go, Linda." Oh my God.
Oh, easy. Linda D. Bernard 1101. I told you that's my birthday at gmail.com. It's the way to get in touch with me anytime.
Yeah, but how can they contribute to your campaign?
Send me a text and I'll send you the address and stuff. It's not a problem. Committee to reelect Linda Bernard
in Detroit.
Yes.
What is your closing thought, Linda Bernard?
My closing thought is that I'm impressed by all three of you ladies' passion for people and for circumstances. And I agree with you 100%. But just like you as a mother, your mother took you as her baby, her babies were more important to her than other babies. All babies are important. but her babies are more important to her. Our people, our community, Americans, we've got to emphasize America now. In my opinion, what happened in the last 4 years was actually, and I know you have a fit, Senator, was actually treasonous. How do you let 14 million people in your country to squat? Squat. I can't let them in your house. So that's my. So now we have this enormous problem where we were always had deficit. You right about that, Santita. Our healthcare has never fully addressed the needs of Americans, but now it's even worse. When people can be in their own country doing their own thing, we can send them aid, etc. But right now, you have the Democrats, unfortunately, Senator, shutting down the government. No, we know that. It is because they want funding for NPR, they want funding for some other thing, and they want to continue to pay for health care for people who are in the commission of a crime being in this country without permission. I can't come in your house without permission. I'll be arrested. It's called home invasion. So you can't walk into my country without permission. And
Okay.
That's
right.
it. So I'm not gonna facilitate that.
And,
you can't walk in my house and I take care of you. You can't walk in my country.
And that is your opinion, Linda?
That's my opinion.
Jane Ruby, the League of Women Voters of Chicago. You will have a lot to share on your page, will you not? Go on, Jane.
Yes, we are an over 100-year-old organization, and this is not the first fight that we've been in, and it certainly won't be the last. And there's a lot of ancestral spirit in the work that we do, and I couldn't be more honored or grateful to be in conversation and discourse with all of the strong women on this call. I more often than not, I find myself referencing Reverend Jackson's Rainbow Coalition speech in a lot of the work that I do, where when other people win and when other people are brought into the conversation, I also win. When I'm brought into the conversation, other people win. We win when we work together.
Yes.
Like, we cannot keep doing this thing of what other people have that I don't have. What makes people different is a reason that they shouldn't get the same resources as me. We're in this fight together. And that is the only way we are going to get out of the constitutional crisis we are in this country.
All right. Amen. Illinois State Senator Lakeisha Collins first. How can people contribute to your campaign?
Yes.
People love Linda and they love you.
Thank you,
Ms.
So you can donate on ActBlue for Friends of Lakeisha. It's LAKESIA. You can also get in contact with me through my email, office at LAKESIA, Collins, COLLINS.com. What I would say is I love these type of platforms. I'm a firm believer that I don't need everybody to agree with me. You always want someone who comes with a different perspective. I think that's a healthy relationship to have different, opinions. But I do agree with you, Jane, that we all need to work together. We got to stop looking at, what other people have and what we don't have. But, reality is that this is where we are, right? There are people denied access to healthcare. They're denied, access to food. People are being judged because of who they love, what they identify as, and that is a problem because we're all, in my opinion, we all should be respecting one another, no matter what our differences are. I mean, nobody's perfect. Nobody. We're all imperfect people. And that's just the way it is. I teach my kids to respect everybody, no matter who they are, no matter what they look like, disability, you name it, treat them all how you would want to be treated and treat them with kindness. Empathy is a top priority. People need more empathy, not sympathy. And so for me, I'm an Illinois state senator. I seen one of the comments. I'm not in the U.S. Senate. We're a mimic of Congress. And a lot of people don't really, understand the difference of the two. But what I would leave everybody with tonight is that the issues that we are facing, no matter how, folks want to describe how we got here, is still inhumane. I want to make sure that everybody have access to food, because I understand that from my lived experience, what that feels like to not have it. I want to make sure everybody can continue to have a roof over their head. And so whatever we can do here in the state of Illinois to make sure families have security. It's getting cold outside. We live in a windy city. I'm going to make sure that I fight and speak up in those rooms where the conversations are going to be very tough. I want to make sure that kids can go to school and that they can get a top quality education, no matter how they get it. I want to make sure that there are systems in place to do that. And I want to make sure that when people return home from whatever got them incarcerated, that they have access to housing, food, job, reconnection with their family. There are so many other things that I fight around here in the state of Illinois. And my constituents always ask me, how do you sleep? I sleep, but I'm always thinking of ways to improve. And so what makes me feel good about myself and, being in this role that I never thought I would ever be in, is that I'm serving people. That's what it is. I've always done it my whole life. Even when I was a little girl, taking care of my grandmother on the south side of Chicago, getting her ready for dialysis before my sister was taking me to school, or when she was coming home from dialysis, getting her undressed, making sure she got her food, helping her, assist her to the bathroom, to the point where when I got into healthcare, I was kind of doing the same thing because I saw my grandmother. So I continue to fight for seniors the same way to this day. So this title did not change me, and it never will. And no matter where I go, when I leave this office, it's going to probably be somewhere where I'm still helping people because it's in me. So, I love everybody, even the folks that are commenting. I love everybody, and there's nothing you can do about it. I think we need to spread more love versus hate, because we're going to need that. We're going to face some very challenging times. And I just pray that everybody could just look past all of the propaganda and just love on each other.
Amen. I mean, and I tell you what, the challenging times are gifts. This is a gift. We're going to learn to take care of each other. We're going to learn to listen to each other. We're going to learn that we have our humanity in common. We're going to learn here. God is too wise to make a mistake and too kind to be cruel. We act as if things have been all right for a long time. They haven't been. You should not have poor people anywhere, but you absolutely shouldn't have them in the United States, in the wealthiest place in the world. Mm-hmm. No one should go without health care. The best health care. You should have a Mayo Clinic everywhere, and people should be able to go. You shouldn't have to go to an emergency room. You go to an emergency room because there's an emergency, because your appendix has burst, because you have a problem with an organ. You are in distress when you go to the emergency room. We can't be reduced to that. And you cannot continue to give people junk food and call it real food. Turn some of these empty tracts into farmland. Give people some seeds and then let people go in there and grab their vegetables. We can do that if we decide that everybody matters. And I really appreciate having everyone on this panel. Linda, I love you. Jane, I love you. Senator Lakeisha, I love you. Oh, and I love you all. And I love everybody who's been here. I love you, Solomon, Andre, RJW, blah, 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 949, all y'all. Alan, all of you. Love you, love you, love you. And we all need each other. And I thank you for caring enough to share with us tonight. So do me this favor, help us with the algorithm. Everybody share this show. Share this show. I have looked up and we have 1.5, 2, and 3 million views after a month or so. But the algorithm jams us. And that's okay. You all find something that you want to share, and I just want you to share. But let's start to care for each other. Let's start to love each other. The Bible, God does not tell you to like anybody. God commands that you love. It's not a suggestion. It is the commandment. We need to love each other. And out of that, you might begin to like somebody. Or what irritates you, you might just giggle about it. Just like a Senator Lakeisha giggled at Linda, because Linda's a caution. But she's a fighter. And you're a fighter. And Jane's a fighter. And all of you have that in common. And Jane, you're part of the family now. Lakeisha, you're part of the family. I know you might not like it. We're as
Hey,
dysfunctional
Jane.
and crazy as we can be, but that's all right. We are together.
Gotta-
You all are here now.
And
I
go
love
Lions.
everybody.
Oh,
She's talking to
Lions.
Boo,
Chicagoans.
Linda.
I know you're gonna say that. I had to get you though.
You see how you see this?
Boo, Linda.
Two Chicagoans. I mean, what's wrong with her? AM
No,
950 radio,
I
the voice
gotta,
of
but I
progressive
do that. I gotta
Minnesota.
get going,
Now,
everybody. 'Cause I love y'all.
I want
Me
to see
too.
this flower before you go.
Oh
Let's
yes,
do
it's
that.
domestic violence month, so I wear my purple, but my favorite colors are purple and yellow. But yes, I got on my purple gym shoes as well. So
I just want you to know that flower is
Purple is
hot.
the new color.
thank you.
I thought it was pink. Pink's
Okay.
not the color anymore.
And next time, put it
Huh?
up here.
You
Pink's
Put it
said
up
not
pink's
here
the
not
so
the
color
everybody can
anymore.
see it.
Well, you know, Miss Linda, let me just tell you really quick because I do gotta go home. But purple and yellow is my color because